because the night before, at 2:17 in the morning, every kid woke up, got out of bed, walked downstairs, and into the dark. And they never came back.
When I was like 10, 15 pages into it, I was like, this is one of the most interesting things I've ever read. And it really was one of the best scripts I've ever read. And I think the only way I can understand that is that when I then met with Zach and talked to him, he brought me into how personal and from what a deep place this all came from. And when any artist is like working from that kind of place, there's just an aliveness and a resonance to it that's very, you just feel, even though you can't put your finger on it. Well, it's kind of a combination of like it's a meeting of what's in the narrative and the fiction with what's in the actual room in terms of chemistry when you meet the person. And we got along very, very well, very quickly. And the thing about Zach's writing that I really loved is how much is suggested that you don't actually see on screen. There's so much detail and subtext and history in each of these scenes, especially the kind of long scene that her and I have. And so you get to fill in this whole world of what that history was. And that was all really rich work. Well, there seems to be now almost like a whole subculture of people debating the meanings of different things, and I think there'll certainly be a lot of that with this film. But I think there's just going to be a lot of like, you gotta see this because it's I think it's very heartening and makes me very hopeful to see the way that people respond to things that are original and authentic. And that's more now than I think it was in the past, and I really appreciate that. And I think that audiences are I'm very proud to be just a small part of that big vision that Zach brought. He's so fun. I love at this era of my career getting to work with people who are my own age. You know, like it's just really fun, and you have similar shared reference points, shared cultural experiences. He is really sweet, which you wouldn't know based on the movies. He is very funny. He's very collaborative, very earnest, and very. He's got a lot of life in him. He's just a very alive person. And he really loves the material we're working on as much as we do. It really felt deeply personal to him, and he wanted to, and when you're acting for him, you can feel that, and it kind of it elevates everything you're doing.
It takes bigger risks. It has bigger set pieces. It's got, way more characters to kind of track throughout, and it has a bigger mystery at the heart of it. So I don't know, it just feels like an escalation in almost every way. Everyone has to put the whole movie on their shoulders, right? And so look, I knew Julia could do this. Like, she's just such a diamond. I knew she had it in her. Josh is a movie star. I don't need to explain why I got Josh. Alden, I have been such a fan of Alden from Hail Caesar. I just thought he was, like, what he did in that movie was so amazing to me, and I just couldn't believe it didn't rocket him into being like top of the mountain forever. So I was just so hungry to get him. And then Austin Abrams also, like, he's this actor that I saw in this movie Brad Status that Mike White made. It was like a two-hander with him and Ben Stiller, and he was so young, he was like a teenager, and he was so confident and understated, and he just like stole the movie. And for a teenager to be able to just like lazily steal a movie from Ben, I was like, oh my God, this guy is a miracle. So I knew I wanted him. There's The Shining, you got the twins in the hallway. And why is that so scary? It's not a jump scare. It's just awful. And so I'm trying to always, where can I find something awful that isn't like startling? but is just arresting. You know, like you could look at the image with the sound off, you could freeze frame it, and the more you look at it, the worse it would get. So it's hard to do that. I think I'm trying to do that in a couple of moments in this movie, like in the woods where James is in the woods and he sees what he sees, or the image of the impossible thing floating above the house, which maybe is not so scary, but it's unnerving. So I'm drawn to horror that is horrible in the quiet moments as opposed to like the big loud pops.
This is where the story really starts.